melting pots. I mean, as far as population density, we're not a big player, but we've got so many different cultural influences that all come together. That's really reflective in the food. I mean, Melburnians especially are very open to new cuisines and to new cultures. So it hasn't been too hard to sort of open their eyes to what I love about food. But you know, there hasn't been many people in Australia as well who are cooking sort of modern versions of Middle Eastern food. So it's been a challenge and it's been fun, and it's, you know, our customers seem to be enjoying it. What's been the best thing about food in Melbourne in the past years? It's been really explosive, and there's lots of things happening and people willing to push the boundaries. But where I see, and I don't know if it's the broader view, I see more of a shift going back to classic cooking, which is very comforting for me because that's where I started my cooking. You know, so I'm seeing more people respect classic techniques, which aren't being taught as much now. So it's great to see a resurgence in the high end to really technique-focused food. And in that middle market, it's about freshness and vibrancy and bold flavors, which is great for a chef like me, cooking Middle Eastern style food because it's big in flavor. Great for Indonesian style foods and Indian and Malay style foods because it's big. It makes you alive, feel alive. So, you know, I think the future could be good in Melbourne. I've got one dish that I eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, supper, middle of the night, afternoon snack, and I don't think I'll ever get sick of it. It's the Vietnamese pho. You know, I think that it's one of the most beautiful, clean, simplistic dishes that has so much depth if it's done right. You know, beautiful beef broth, but you can taste, you know, licorice root and cinnamon and black cardamom and star anise and fennel. So if it's cooked properly with good quality beef, nice noodles, and lots of herbs and good chili, I mean, it's got so much happening. So generally, I would go for a beer, something a little bit more bitter, a lager, something Melburnian, something Australian. Be accepting. I mean, open your eyes. You know, there's so much happening throughout the globe. But at the moment, I feel that Melbourne especially is one of the epicenters of food. I mean, I'm not saying we are the Mecca. There's a lot of beautiful food capitals all around the globe, but there's so much passion in Melbourne. I mean, and it's driven from amazing produce and people who are really focused on giving the best experience they can. I think you can always tell a chef or a food culture that's driven to have financial outcomes or to have experiential outcomes. And I think there's a lot of people in Melbourne who are purely driven on experience. I know within our group, money is not the motivator. You know, experience is the motivator, and we see people connecting with what we're trying to do. That's the reward. In the world. Yes. Not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Yes. No, 5th time.
5th time?
Yeah.
Jeez. How lucky am I?
Years.
I think that everybody's at their best when they're coming from a place of happiness. You know, you said before that my travels to Malta was inspired me to. At the end of the day, what inspired me or drove me to cook was out of a desire to be happy. You know, my memories as a child of happiness was spending time with my grandparents, who were always in the kitchen. So it's natural to be able to connect happiness with my grandparents with the kitchen. Well, my grandparents are no longer here, so the connection I have is through the kitchen. So at Melbourne, I'm happy. I mean, I've got my family, I've got my friends, I've got sport. I'm a big fan of Australian rules football and soccer and rugby and basketball. So to be able to spend my free time, which isn't much, with my children and with my family, engaging in all the benefits that Melbourne has to offer, there's no doubt that I'll be at my best as a chef. I mean, we've got so much happening there that I feel at peace.